They blew it all to Hades, Chris says. They had everything on a silver platter, and they blew it all for really hard work, for Hollywood fame, and then podcast fame. Both are really tough work, highly competitive, and they swapped royal duties for this. I tell you, Harold is thick to be press-ganged to leave his family for the crap he's in. Yeah, I feel like Meghan sold Harry on this idea that it was all going to be super easy and fun and not hard at all. And all of these things are actually really hard. It's never as easy as it looks, and leave it to the narcissist to think it'll be so easy for them. Virginia says, when Meghan first came on the scene, I was thrilled for Harry. I'd never heard of Suits or Meghan, but chalked that up to living in Australia and not owning a TV. The first image that emerged was the hot and steamy archives encounter, which wasn't exactly royal behavior, but it was TV. All the press coverage, though, had been extraordinarily positive. It was when Harry publicized and criticized the press in that letter, then it arrived like a punch in the gut. It was unwarranted, attacked the media, the general public, and was entirely out of step with reality. From that point forward, I began to question absolutely everything that the dastardly duo did. I trashed my trust even before they left the British royal family. I agree. I also raised my eyebrows at that and thought that was pretty weird. And like I've said before, we would have pictures like these of Catherine, Princess of Wales, of Diana, Princess of Wales, surrounded by photographers and cameras and just people being insane. We would have pictures of Meghan like this if it happened. It didn't. It never happened. And it was also super off-putting for the public, I think, because there wasn't a lot of information about Meghan out there, and people were curious to some extent, but the press was kind of leaving Meghan and Harry alone. People weren't that intense about it. And then they put out this statement, and I think it kind of made people feel like, fine, we'll leave you alone. We weren't bothering you in the first place, weirdos. So I think it backfired way, way hard compared to if it had been somebody who had actually been, hounded a little bit, or somebody who had, more documented public interest. There just wasn't that much public interest. Like, people were interested, but they weren't like obsessively interested because, as I've said before, there's a huge difference between marrying the heir to the throne and marrying not the person who's going to be king. Obviously. I feel like a terrible person for disliking this woman so much. Your point that she seems unprepared doesn't sound right. She was horribly overprepared, overscripted, and it went exactly how she planned. That's the tragedy. It's thought out and still awful. I agree with this assessment to an extent. I think the problem is that Meghan focuses her prep for things on the wrong things. I think she practices in the mirror what she wants to say, and she comes up with things that she wants to be sure she squeezes in as clapbacks to stuff that she's heard. And I think she preps in that manner of, I want to come across like this. I want to make this face. I want to do this. Like, she's in the mirror voguing. Isn't that what it's called? I think that's how she preps. And she comes up with things that she thinks will be clever to say or do. But she doesn't actually prep in that she doesn't practice enough to not be caught off guard or say stupid things or make stupid mistakes. And she doesn't prep in thinking critically about what she's doing or saying or showing or demonstrating. I think that's where the lack of preparation comes from, in my view, of like, she doesn't seem like she's practiced this enough. When you're going to be on camera and do something like a With Love Meghan type of show, you should practice so many times that it is second nature. But even just the way she holds a knife looks like it's the third time she's ever held a knife. Instead of Henry blatantly saying he was doing things in memory of his mother, if he had just done a lot of good works, people would have compared him to his mother positively anyway. However, stating constantly that you're doing things in her memory provokes negative reporting. I agree completely. He even did this in the Guardian article. He was like, you know who else did this? My mom. Constantly calling out those parallels for yourself. I feel like it's never going to go good. It's the same as being like, I am so smart. It just leaves people to be like, okay, sure. Why does she think that people will be inspired to be like her, a woman who won the relationship lottery and proceeded to bite all the hands that have ever fed her? No matter whether you believe Meghan and Harry's nonsense or not, I think this is one of the hugest problems and most consistent things I hear people say, that no matter what, you had it so good and you had so many advantages and so many privileges and so many resources and so many things in your favor. Why would you act that ungrateful? Just being so ungrateful and to complain about little teeny tiny problems that are not a big deal at all just makes them look so bad and questionable with their character for sure. All they had to do was stay in the royal family and stay in their own lane. Second place had to be better than this, for goodness sake. If they weren't so maladjusted, they really could have been an asset and content with themselves, like Princess Anne as just one example among many. Agreed. Same sort of line of thinking. If they had just been a little bit more patient too, I think part of the problem was Meghan wanted to jump into things so fast, and we talked about this in the Diana media sort of parallels thing, that Meghan tried to take Diana's timeline of her public image journey with the press and through the press and kind of cram it into a very short period of time, thinking that that would create public adoration like Diana had. Meghan and Harry very much never were patient at all with how these things went. Meghan rushed into doing duties. She rushed into wanting all the things super fast and also rushed wanting that public approval. You do have to earn it in these types of positions. But really, all public figures kind of have to earn public approval and respect through what they do. The difference is that a lot of people in the public eye are in the public eye because they have accomplished something. They have, led a company into success, or are accomplished actors or artists and musicians that people respect their work and like their work. And then people like them and are more forgiving to public blunders or doing or saying things that maybe some people view as mistakes, because it's like, well, they're really talented, or they've done a lot of good in this arena, or they're really good at what they do. So, they don't have to be perfect. Meghan and Harry don't have that. They've never really earned anything on their own or done anything on their own that we can point to as an accomplishment, as like, okay, well, at least they have this going for them. We don't have that with Meghan and Harry because they're not celebrities. They're not like putting out things that you can be like, oh, this was really quality, like, albums and things like that. It's just a totally different ballgame. They really set themselves up for failure in this way. Hunky Van Wildebeest has a interesting take. Shapewear is catfishing at the corporate level. Women buy these items so they can fool themselves into thinking they are attractive. More importantly, these items are meant to fool the man into finding the woman attractive. Isn't this the kind of coercion that women think is unacceptable when a man does it? This shit should be illegal and laughed at. Okay, I do not support or advocate for shapewear in the traditional sense of like tight shapewear that snatches your waist in and makes you, has butt pads, or like makes your waist look smaller and your boobs look bigger and your butt look bigger. I don't approve of that at all. I never ever have. I have said that a smooth finish is important, and buying shapewear like 2 sizes too big, depending on how tight it is a great way to get a smooth finish if you don't like slips, or if you're going to be wearing like trousers, or you want to buy one piece that can give you a smooth finish no matter what you wear. Buying a romper style shapewear item that has bike shorts, so it comes down the leg a little bit, that's like 2 sizes too big. It won't have compression, so it's not going to be squeezing your shape into looking different. It's just going to blend your panty lines, blend your bra lines, blend over where your belly button is, so that your outfit doesn't have interruptions and create a focal point, or even like bunch up or snag onto where your panty lines are. You can get like little folds in your dress or something like that, or in your trousers where your panty lines are. That looks kind of tacky and messy also, most importantly. So that's the only time I've ever advocated getting shapewear, is if you want to just buy one piece, you don't want to have a slip, a half slip, and, like something for trousers. You just want one item. You don't like pantyhose or something like that. That's the only time I've said you should look into shapewear is if you're buying it a couple sizes too big so it's not squeezing. Because the thing is, if you buy shapewear that's compressing and squeezing, it's super obvious, at least to anybody who's ever worn it, because it squeezes you so tight, then you have like a bulge where it stops and your normal skin starts, like you're exploding out of it. It doesn't look good. I don't like shapewear. I don't think it's a good idea. But having a smooth finish under your clothes, I think makes sense and is not catfishy at all. I don't think that that's fooling anybody. It's just saying, like, obviously, I don't want my dress catching on my panty line or my bra line being an obvious standout focal point of my outfit. So it's totally different. But I agree that, like, waist trainers, and corsets and butt pads and padded bras and shapewear that compresses and makes you look thinner than you are. I don't think that's wise. I don't think it's nice. It is kind of catfishy. Like, I don't advocate for that. But I also think it's not great for your own confidence because that's not how you actually look. When you take off that shapewear, then, you know, you have your body in whatever jiggly state that it is in or not, you know, it's not a real representation. I feel the same way about filters on social media or with cameras. A little bit of retouching when you're going to like be doing a family portrait up on the wall, or, you know, you get school pictures and you have a little bit of retouching done, or professional photos and they just kind of make it look a little more smooth or erase a zit if you have a pimple or something like that. I think that's fine on occasion. But like the filters that make you look like you have lip filler and contour, and they erase your double chin if you have one, and they make your eyes look like they have 5 pounds of makeup, and they make your skin look totally fake. You look like a Bratz doll or a Barbie. Like that I don't like either, because it's going to make your confidence go down. And the studies have shown that it does contribute negatively to people's view of themselves when they use a lot of filters and wear a lot of shapewear and wear a lot of makeup and, you know, go over the top. It can hurt your confidence because then you're not feeling confident, or you're not feeling okay just being yourself, just being you. And you should always feel good just as you are. And so accepting your body as it is and your face as it is in its natural state, I feel like is the most valuable and important way to go about things and to be. And so I agree that shapewear is not cool, especially not that type. And filters are in the same category. But that is not what I am talking about. And that's not what I'm suggesting. But smooth finish is a totally different category, in my opinion. That's not saying that we're changing anything. It's just saying we're not going to draw attention to our panty lines or belly buttons under a dress or bra lines. I think that's different. I was chosen to marry him because I could handle it. Girl, you couldn't handle Googling the national anthem. That's the easiest one in the world. You may want to check again your definition of handle it. Excellent comment. Smiley says, people often overcompensate on things they're insecure about. So someone who is always going on about how great a marriage they have, they're probably lying to cover up the fact that it's not that great. This reminds me of when she was like, Harry's a fox. It does feel a little bit like overcompensating and being insecure. And Meghan has always looked a little bit insecure with Harry. I can't imagine any man being pleased with how much she is dragging him, tapping him, and touching him, and pulling on him, and doing those types of things all of the time. I can't imagine being, like, happy with that all of the time. Roma Robbins says, imagine being so narcissistic that you think the royal family should plan their calendar around yours. Even when he was an actual prince, hypocrite Henry's schedule was not the most important. Now that he's just a guy, formerly known as a prince, his itinerary has absolutely no relevance. I think it's clear at this point that those meetings were very much about Harry wanting to set up a meeting in the fall, which he has had, as well as his little trip over to Ukraine, because the royals and the Ukrainian government decided it wouldn't be a good look for Harry to have any sort of a publicized meeting with the president. Meghan didn't want help because she wanted to modernize the royal family. Unfortunately, that's not something that happens right away. When Princess Diana joined, she chose to give birth at the hospital. In other words, you need to take baby steps. Meghan thought she was going to come in and change a very old institution. Baby steps is a good way to put it. She definitely rushed things. We've had quite a few discussions about just how much she tried to increase the pace around all of it. And there are some theories that are well documented and are not baseless. Like, there's a lot of evidence to back up the theory that Meghan had this whole plan to, leave after a couple of years from the get-go. But that's not the only theory out there. Either way, no matter if she planned on staying or not, coming into a new job and not taking time to learn the ropes and wanting to change things right away and do things differently right away is just a socially awkward, strange thing to do. Just a very bizarre way to think, no matter who you are, no matter where you're stepping into. If you're a newbie, you're a newbie. Like, just take some time. Take a minute and absorb a little bit of the information. Butterfly says maybe the reason she reiterates over and over that they have a love story is because she's deflecting from the idea that she manipulated a meeting with him and then used various tactics to maneuver herself into the royal family. That is a great point. I haven't thought about it from that context for some time. That constantly saying, oh, it's our love story is a way to deflect from the manipulations and the very targeted approach that she took to getting with Harry. I mean, this picture alone is kind of creepy territory, that she took this picture just before meeting Harry. Almost, I mean, like, you can look at it in retrospect and it's almost like you can see that this was part of her plan to get Harry to see this, to create this, door opening up for herself. It's wild and intense, and I think that it's certainly a form of gaslighting or creating a cover story, a cover narrative for that, in hopes that these types of things and the knowledge that we all have that she really did seek Harry out with intention, like the Meg would, to cover for that in hopes that people forget it. Jill says, every new persona that Meghan adopts seems to end up looking the same. I wonder if as a teenager she had aspirations to be a star, and that because of her familiarity with her father's profession, she thought that the way for her was through acting. Each new project seems to have herself as the director, organizing the proceedings to show herself in the starring role, with everyone else, even the people more experienced than her, as film extras. This showed up during her time in the UK, pushing people into position with this obsession of always being front and center, something that not all narcissists do. Of course, the protocols of royalty anywhere would mean that she must fail in this situation. It does feel like that. It always feels like her new introductions and personas and the way she presents herself every few years, or every few months rather, that she kind of recreates or reinvents this new version, feels very much like an underdeveloped, I always say kind of like a made-for-TV crappy movie sort of character is what it feels like to me. But yeah, this sort of immature view is right on point. What percentage of people would have had the nerve to complain after they were brought into a high place in the wealthiest, most respected family in history? Just shows you that there are no limits with narcissists. It's a helpful reminder that nothing we could ever do for the narcissist in our lives would have been good enough. Very well said. I love that observation. And it does speak to what we see in Meghan and Harry that feels like it represents people high in narcissism that we've experienced. That no matter how much you give yourself to them, how much you try to contort to what you think they want you to be or how they want you to behave to try to appease them, it's never enough, and it just ends up heartbreaking because you try so hard and then you're still shot down or hurt or criticized or whatever it is. It's not enough. It's not good enough. Because I think in a lot of ways, it's true that narcissists don't actually want to be happy or pleased or have things be the way that they think they want them to be. They just want to feel superior in some way. And some narcissists or some people feel that way and sort of satisfy that desire by sort of telling other people that the way they're doing things is the wrong way, or that's not how it should be done, or that's not how I like it to be done, or why didn't you say this? You should have said this instead. This would have been better. And kind of criticizing other people is part of how they feel like they're better than others. especially if they've been making a lot of mistakes. I don't know though. What do you guys think? That's a really good comment there though. Very insightful. Thank you for your comments, everybody. Keep posting them and I will keep making these. I have another one of these coming up soon. I love featuring your comments and the time that you take to write me on these videos. So I hope you have a happy day ahead. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I will see you next time. Bye.